Hi, so now we're going to have a look at the question, how does Lady Macbeth use language to manipulate Macbeth? So in order to best answer this question, I'm going to be looking at Act 1, Scene 7 of Macbeth, which is more commonly known as the persuasion scene. Lady Macbeth is persuading Macbeth to commit the murder of King Duncan. So the first thing she does is she says, "Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since?" These are two rhetorical questions. So a rhetorical question being a question that doesn't require an answer. Now, she uses these rhetorical questions to draw him in. They're often used in commercials. Often advertisers will say, "Do your windows need cleaning?" or whatever it might be. But it's because it draws the viewer in. It makes you feel part of the action, and she is using them to draw him into her argument. The next thing she does is she taunts him. She picks specific words that she knows are going to hit home, and in fact they're words that sort of hit home to most of us. She says, "Art thou afeard?" Afeard. Basically, what, are you scared? That's really interesting because that actually appeals to the basic instinct, I think, in all of us, which is to not appear weak. We don't want to appear weak. And in fact, especially for Macbeth, a warrior, a man at this time, his masculinity needs him to seem strong, not weak and certainly not afraid. He's just won a medal in battle for his bravery in battle, so to taunt him for being weak would surely get a reaction from him. And she then uses the word coward. She says, "And live a coward in thine own esteem." Now, we know this is a trigger word for Macbeth because later on at the end of the play, Macduff calls him a coward, and that interaction eventually goes into their final battle scene. So we know that coward has a big effect on Macbeth. He does not want to seem cowardly. So, moving on from this idea of weak and cowardly, she then appeals to his masculinity, which was so important at that time, ideas of masculinity and femininity, much more fixed than they are today. So she's appealing to his masculinity because he calls himself a man. And then she says, "Oh, well, what beast was it that made you break this enterprise to me?" As in, "Oh, so what animal was it that just told me that you weren't going to do this because it wasn't a man?" She's saying to him, "You're not a man, you're an animal. Only an animal would be this weak, would do this." So again, that idea of dehumanizing him in a way, this is very strong language, but it's all being used to put him down and in a way force him to come back stronger. She's manipulating his emotions by calling him weak, by dehumanizing him. She's almost trying to goad him into saying, "No, I'm going to show you just how strong I can be," and committing this deed, committing this murder. So then the final way that she tries to really persuade him, he's afraid of failure. He says, "If we should fail." And her response is, "We fail? But screw your courage to the sticking place, and we'll not fail." Now she uses another language device here. She uses some alliteration. We've got screw and sticking. These two S sounds at the beginning of the words. Words that start with the same sound are alliterative. And we know that instantly makes people listen. Shakespeare has probably chosen these words because it sounds great. It alerts us to them. But also for her, it gives her words that bit more power. And she's also, again, it's screw your courage. She's appealing again to his bravery. So this time she's actually not calling him a coward. She's talking about courage. So now she's almost gone the full circle, and now it's about building him and building him up in his courage. And then she rounds the whole thing off with two more rhetorical questions right at the end of her argument. "What cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? What can we not do to this man who is not being guarded?" So, there we are. That is a very brief introduction into the way language is used to manipulate Macbeth.